that nature, things of 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 that nature.
And just when you thought we were done, after a great Inside Arkansas Live, we are back with you. Pod of that nature, transfer portal update. John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. Guys, this one, news that none of us expected to happen. This is a huge one that no one anticipated. Josh Braun, the offensive lineman for Arkansas, 2-year starter, has officially entered into the transfer portal. This is according to Chris Hummer. He said just simply that him and Matt Zenitz have both learned about it. And yeah, he's not going to the NFL and he's not coming back to Arkansas. He's going to be playing for some other college next season in college football.
Yeah, man, that's what I think surprises me the most about this. Like I tweeted out, like this was not on my bingo card of possibilities for Josh Braun. I was wondering if he was going to just turn the page to the next step or if he was going to come back to Arkansas. I didn't think that next step was going to be transferring somewhere else. I'm really surprised by this. Now Arkansas is in a position where they got to go get 2 minimum starting offensive linemen out of the portal. I kind of thought when Kudus left, I started to wonder, okay, are they going to try to make a concerted effort to maybe, coerce Braun into coming back? It was either him or Blackstock, I thought, because you wouldn't necessarily want to go out and rebuild an offensive line through the transfer portal once again. It turns out he's out of here as well. So Arkansas, they ain't got no guards.
Yeah, it's definitely one that we didn't see coming. I mean, Pittman had referenced him, I guess, a month or so ago, saying, hey, he's a guy that he really wanted to talk to about coming back for a 6th year. He's a guy that I know Arkansas certainly would have welcomed back with open arms. And look, is Josh Braun like a complete game changer,
No.
star in the making? Far from it. But I will say, I was looking at the numbers of it, and I think some fans might be surprised. So you hear the PFF grade of 69.8, and everyone says, oh, well, that sucks. That's a D in school. Well, that's actually 11th among all SEC guards among the 50 that are qualified. That's top 100 nationally among 650 qualified guards. His pass block grade was actually top 75 in the country among, again, 650 qualified guards. And we're talking about a guy who has over 2,400 snaps of experience in his college career, including damn near 2,000 with the Razorbacks over the last 2 seasons. So look, again, we go back to what was the case for running it back with Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino and Travis Williams, all these guys. It was, hey, you can keep your talent, maybe add to it in the portal, have some continuity on offense. You get your quarterback back. You can retain most of the offensive line. Even with the Kudus exit, you have Carmona coming back. So if you get Braun, maybe a Marion Harris takes a jump. You think, okay, maybe they can salvage this, losing your most experienced guy. And again, they lost their highest graded offensive lineman yesterday. They have now lost their 2nd highest graded offensive lineman here in Josh Braun. They do have their 3rd highest guy coming back in Carmona, but it's a tough situation for Arkansas. And again, it's just kind of tough because what happened here? Like, why is Josh Braun playing football in 2025 in the college level and not for Arkansas? Why, did he get a bag or just like what's going on? I think these are many questions that Arkansas fans are going to ask. And look, it's very fair to wonder what the hell, like what's the direction? What's the selling point for Arkansas fans to be excited? Because you can't even retain any of the competent players you have on your roster on the offensive side of the ball. So it's one that's it's a little bit puzzling to me. And look, I'm not trying to do a whole reaction where I'm like, oh man, Arkansas losing Josh Braun means they're toast. But again, when you add it in conjunction with all these other moves that are happening, it really calls into question like what the hell Arkansas is trying to do offensively.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, man. It's more about the why is this happening than it is the particular player in this instance. But you laid it out there real well. A game breaker, an All-American, an NFL, 1st-round draft pick. No, but a guy who started for you for 2 years and has been, statistically very productive. At the end of the day, though, what it comes back to me on is one thing that I've always kind of felt about this particular offensive line was that it was a tight-knit group. Right. There's a lot of togetherness with these guys. They seem to really enjoy each other. They were recording their podcasts in our office for the longest. And there's a lot of good continuity there, camaraderie, chemistry. It felt like a brotherhood. And so for 40% of that to be out the door already here before the portal even officially opens, that I think is what stands out to me as kind of a, the eyebrow raiser of what the heck is really going on here. And you mentioned it just a few minutes ago, Andrew, about how there is nuance to all these things. Some people might not like their role. Some guys might want more money. Some guys might not like the quarterback who's throwing them the football or whatever. This one is the first one where I look at it and go, okay, like what's really going on? Like, what is the pattern here that needs to be identified? Because this one kind of puzzles me.
Well, that's even Curtis, you saying that. That's what I was a little talking to Andrew before you hopped into the studio of like, this is one where all of them, none of them were really surprised Asatania. That was a little bit of a surprise. But this one is now I'm getting into the feeling of like, okay, we are flirting with disaster right now. Like this is like dumpster fire, clown shoes type stuff right now. It already was a little bit unwavering, but anybody can see right now, and I understand Sam Pittman's situation with the surgery and all that, but the only thing people are seeing right now is their best players or some of their top players or top starters are entering into the portal and no one is saying anything. We don't know what the crap's going on. We don't know what the crap's going on with the high school class. We have no idea what's going on with the portal situation right now. We don't know. Like there has not been a vote of confidence of a statement from Juracek or from anybody involved. What is happening? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. Is this a Mateos thing? Is it a Sam Pittman thing? Is it a Petrino thing? Of all the players that I would have never guessed in a million years, of all the ones that are on this roster, Josh Braun playing for another college football team next year was not going to be one of those. I mean, we know him personally, and I've talked to him. I've interviewed him every week on 103.7 The Buzz in Little Rock a year ago, last season. Every week, talked to him frequently, all the time this year. And this one shocked me to my core. I can't believe this. I can't believe that Josh Braun is gone.
I can't either. And I mean, they're going to go out and get some guys, absolutely, out of the portal. But you hear all the time how difficult it is for you to build, a competent and much improved offensive line through the transfer portal, in one off season. And so half the sell again was, well, Arkansas had to do that last year. Like they had to go out and fill some gaps. And you were hoping that maybe year 2 of that experiment would yield better results. Well, now they're going to have to do the exact same thing over again, which is it's just not a situation you want to be in. So yeah, they'll go out and I'm sure they'll go get a guy or two that you're probably excited about that graded out well or whatever, but then you're right back to square one of these guys trying to figure each other out again. So once again, here we are taken away from the, year 2, a little more continuity. Maybe you can have some improvement. It literally, it just feels like a reset button to me. And I wasn't anticipating that. Maybe they have a boatload of cash they're going to go out and spend to really ramp up this roster. But that money or that pot it's getting increasingly deep of what they're going to have to do it. And I guess we'll find out starting next week. But man, yeah, this one, it's shocking to me. It really is.
Yeah, Curtis, you mentioned it there. I mean, you touched on it a lot. And just to piggyback off that, we learned last season, and I mean, we all kind of know at this point, it's really tough to build an offensive line through the portal. And look, frankly, these days, it's hard to build one completely through your recruiting classes just because it's really hard to keep those recruiting classes. You just don't know how these guys are going to develop. Arkansas, the last 4 years, has brought in minimum of 3 offensive linemen, usually 3 or 4. I believe it's 13, 14 high school offensive linemen over the last 4 recruiting classes. You've got one of those guys that are still on your roster that are actually playing for you, and that's a Marion Harris. So you think about it, for Arkansas to have a good offensive line in 2025, obviously it was a struggle in 2023. It was like one of the worst in the country. A little bit better in 2024, but offensive line was still an issue. So you're thinking, okay, how is Arkansas going to field a decent offensive line in 2025? We felt like they had to keep some of these guys, had to get maybe an addition or two, and you had to develop some of the guys that you had on your roster. Well, the most talented high school guy you had was Patrick Kudis. He's gone. Amarian Harris is still there. He is I was looking at this earlier when I was looking for Braun. Amarian Harris was graded 570th out of 650 FBS guards last year. So you do have that guy coming back. You're going to need a massive step forward from him. Fernando Carmona there at left tackle. That was a very big retention, I guess I should say, for Arkansas. And in hindsight, it's like, damn, what the hell would they be doing if they didn't have Carmona back? So you've got a legitimate left tackle who you feel pretty good about. You like that piece. Addison Nichols was, slightly below average in the SEC ranks in terms of center. You have him back. So again, you have a Marion Harris. You have Keyshawn Blackstock, who they benched midway through the year. He's still there. Again, a lot of the guys that they have on this roster have not played. So you're going to have to go out and get minimum 1 to 2 portal guys. it just, you really would have liked to have Josh Braun, who is, again, played 2,400 snaps in college football and was one of the best graded guards in the SEC and the best graded guard on your team. It just would have been really nice to have that to fall back on. And so I'm sure Arkansas is going to go out there and make some moves. I'm sure they're going to, they've got some tricks up their own sleeve. I get all that. And look, I do think that this staff can develop some guys. I wouldn't be stunned if Marion Harris is a lot better next year, but I don't see how Arkansas's offensive line is going to be noticeably better next year unless something really weird happens.
I don't see it. I really don't see it. And guys, this is, you mentioned a few of the things, but thinking about the flip that they had for their offensive lineman that went to Ole Miss yesterday, thinking about that, thinking about losing Kudus and now Josh Braun. I'm even going back to losing Bear McWhorter. A lot of y'all may not remember that kid, but he's part of the class the guy that put a billboard up in Arkansas when he's in 8th grade. He wants to play at Arkansas. He committed to Arkansas. He was all Razorback, all Sam Pittman, everything. He decommitted months ago, and it was just mind-blowing. I'm like, so what is happening with the offensive line specifically, where you got guys leaving your team, you got guys flipping from your commitment list, and you got a guy that seemed like a surefire 4-star player is coming in, it didn't just decommitted. None of this is adding up. None of this is making sense. And it's just, I don't know what to say. I am so shocked by this one. I am legitimately shocked.
And it's not going to make sense until we see how it plays out. You just hope that when all is said and done, it does. We're just not going to know until the portal officially opens and they start getting some guys, committed or whatever. But right now, I mean, it's not just because guys are leaving. It's the way it's going down. It's the volume on the offensive side of the football that really makes you look at it and go, is there a plan? I hope they have tricks up their sleeve. I hope there's a master plan because with each one of these guys that dips out of here, it's becoming more and more, complicated. I just, we got off of it, the Inside Arkansas live stream. We're peeling back the curtain for you guys, but we talked to each other and we're like, okay, basketball game Saturday. We got the Palace Live that we're going to do. We're just kind of on alert right now in case things happen. It's like, all right, who would we go live for if we have another portal announcement? And we had 3 or 4 names. Josh Braun wasn't one of them because it didn't even register into our heads that he might be out of here. So now when we get off of this one, we might have to do this again and dig a little bit deeper because I was unprepared for this to happen.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people. Look, we understand the portal giveth, the portal taketh. We understand this is the world of college football we live in, and we knew coming into this offseason that this coaching staff was going to have to hit the portal extremely hard and nail it for this team to have any chance to be good next year. And again, I've said it 3 days in a row now because it keeps happening. We went into that saying that before we knew they were losing Josh Braun, before we knew they were losing Patrick Kudus, before we knew they were losing Isaiah Satania, Luke Has. I mean, just going down the line. And again, it just kind of continues to put this program behind the 8 ball. And can they find their way out of it? Listen, I'm fully, like I've said it on today's show, I'll say it again. If Pittman goes out there and puts together just a damn good recruiting class and a transfer portal class and they nail it, and we look at how the roster looks in February and it looks pretty good, I will gladly eat my crow and say, hey, tip my hat. Great job. Maybe we panicked too early. But just right now where it stands, I had my doubts coming into the offseason about whether or not Arkansas was capable of really hitting the portal well enough to round out their roster and improve to next year with the way the schedule is. So now that you add all these pieces, I'm just even more skeptical. And again, I know everyone says, everyone transfers these days. This is happening at every school. It would be one thing if this were Tommy Varhall transferring. It'd be one thing if it were Luke Brown transferring or the guys that weren't playing that were buried on the depth chart. Those transfers happen every year. Yeah, we expect that to happen. You don't expect your starters, your team captains, your team leaders, the guys you were kind of penciling in for production next year, the guys that you were hoping to build this whole thing around. You don't count on them to leave. And y'all can say, oh, well, it happens at every school. Show me the school that has lost 4 starters in 3 days. Yeah. Show me the school that has lost 4 offensive starters in 3 days. Y'all can keep saying that shit. Doesn't make it true. And look, I understand there's a lot of teams that are going to have guys move, but these were not moves. Now, like Has and Kudus was a little bit less surprising, but like this was not a move that like we all knew was coming. That like we knew Arkansas was going to have to replace both of their starting guards who had played a bunch for them in the offseason. Like, this is not something that they were prepared for. I don't think this staff was prepared for it. In fact, Pittman himself literally said he was expecting Kudus back. He was expecting Josh Braun back. Maybe he lied. He does that a lot in press conferences, but like the mental gymnastics can keep coming, but this really does. I don't have great feelings about this, and I'm not saying this just to be negative. Like, we love Arkansas. Like, we want Arkansas to do well. We want to cover a great team. I am extremely concerned about the direction that this seems to be heading. We were very vocal a couple of weeks ago about how we felt like there needed to be a change. We didn't feel like Arkansas' season was good enough. We didn't feel like there was a real case to be made that Arkansas should just keep going with this same situation. And right now I feel even more confident in that like it's really hard to justify running it back for another year when you're going to lose all the pieces that you were planning to run it back with.
Let me play this clip. I got to give a shout out to Evan Kamiko. I think it's how you say his name, from Picture Nation. He posted this video of Josh Braun after the Missouri game talking about the future a little bit.
More after the game. We're both old. And
me too.
I told him I didn't think I could feel this way after a loss again. So I'm not going to shortchange. I mean, it was devastating. But fortunately for us, we have the opportunity to play another game, and we're full speed ahead onto that.
I don't think you're full speed ahead on that anymore. Playing another game, maybe another game in another school, but it ain't happening for Arkansas. So, sheesh, man, this is. I got people that are mad at me because I said that this is. They're tweeting at me about like, oh, nice clickbait headline about saying it's a disaster, and oh, you got to wait and everything. Again, it's also about, because some people are even comparing it to last year, folks. When you went 4-8, it's not that you want to almost process a lot of people and get new roster players. But this year, you should have had it to where you want something to build upon. Like, you want to build upon the improvement you made at going 6-6 and try to keep a lot of things intact. That's not what's happening right now. Like, you're losing key starters. You're losing key players. And I just, maybe they go into the portal and they knock it out of the park and it goes amazing. Maybe so.
Well,
but it doesn't feel that way. And there's no evidence to point to that's going to be good.
yeah, I mean, it's a proof of concept thing, and that's not there right now. And for anybody pointing to last year, people were freaking out last year, and then they wound up going from 4-8 to 6-6. So, I don't know that that's a really good comp in terms of, hey, don't worry about it, let it play out. Did it get that much better? Not really. And people were trying to run the coach out of here, the entire season anyway. So I don't know that that's the best comparison there to use, but yeah, I mean, it's just where you're at when you're losing starter after starter after starter. Yeah, it's going to build up into some frustration and some concern, as it should. And again, like we'll see what they wind up doing here once the portal officially opens. They're going to get guys. It's not like they're just not going to address the needs. But how effectively do they do it? And then how damn many do they have to address before we get to that point? Because there's just, I mean, we're to the point now where there's a half dozen guys that you're really like, all right, they really, really need to hang on to this dude. Will they? Who the hell knows? But, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to go out into the transfer portal and get 13 starters or something for an SEC football team and pretend you're going to go out and improve the next season. That's a tough spot to be in.
And also, yeah, and to your point of how, everyone said this last year and then they went 6-6. This was the most manageable schedule Arkansas has had maybe in my lifetime, but at least like this decade and probably the last 20 years. Next year's schedule, we all agreed going into the offseason. And look, this is not revisionist history. We did a portal preview pod, which you guys can go listen to. We did not predict some of these guys to leave. And we also said Arkansas is going to have to substantially increase their talent if they want to increase their win total next year, just because of how tough the schedule is. And because everyone else, you had Auburn was in a down year. Mississippi State was obviously in a down year. LSU, I guess you can consider it a down year for them as well. Like you look around, Oklahoma State, Arkansas played was a 3-9 team. Like Arkansas caught a lot of teams in a down year and went 6-6. The idea that like, oh yeah, just run it back and they'll do the same or better next year. I felt like Arkansas was going to have to increase their talent by like a decent amount, like have a much better roster. And that was before I knew they were going to lose some of these pieces. And so again, like, can Arkansas save themselves in the portal? Sure. And like, look, we will be here to cover it all, man. Like we're going to go live whenever they have big portal additions as well. And I look forward to seeing what some of those are. I look forward to Arkansas being in the mix for some of these guys, because there's absolutely like a path to Arkansas rebuilding this roster, and we'll see what it looks like. But I would love to hear from you guys, you fans. Do y'all really think Arkansas is in a position to upgrade their talent in a noticeable way from what they had this past year? I don't really know how you can make that case considering that some of the best players on the team that you weren't even accounting for are already gone.
Yeah. I don't know how you can look at it right now that way. We got a few chats we get into. Again, we're not going to be live for a whole long time because we just did like, an hour and a half. But Jack says year 2 under Bobby, which I was looking forward to, doesn't matter if the key players on offense are gone.
I think that's my biggest thing about it. Like that, we were literally asked the question on how you could find a way to sell optimism for running it back, and that was it. Was year 2 with Bobby and with a bunch of these guys coming back, and then add some talent. You supplement with the talent on top of that, and they're really not going to be able to do that at this point. It's going to be kind of a reset, rebuild situation.
Also, Wu Pig Sui says, not upset about Braun, to be honest. I feel like out of all the linemen we had, he drew the most offside flags.
It's funny you say that. He was the least penalized offensive lineman on the team. So,
Yeah.
but again, we can just lie and make up bullshit if y'all want. But I mean,
you guys told us to comment if we normally don't, just saying y'all are cool and I like the pod. Go Hawks. Thank you, Mailbox.
Hey, there you go. We appreciate that, Mailbox Mac. I like that name.
Yeah, that is true. And hopefully the snow got out of your beard, man. That looks miserable. Vince for me says, I thought Carmona, Braun, Kudus were going to be the ones we needed to build around. And that's where I'm at too, man. Like those 3 guys, remember at our launch party, those are the 3 guys that were there hanging out, being bros.
And I'm not like planning any subliminal messages here, but you just see some of this and I'm like, well, damn, I hope Nichols comes back.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't expect this with Braun. So hopefully that's it with the O-line attrition there.
Yeah. And Steam Donkey, I think, is just is trolling or he's like, you guys realize this is going on at many schools, right? Well, like Andrew said, please name them. Please name it.
Please let us know who lost 4 starters in 3 days.
I'll tell you that I'm sure that somebody could pull an example or two, but if you do, it is from programs that are in very bad spots right now, that they had bad years. They're firing people, coordinators, coaches, whatever. That like it's not a situation you want to be in. If you want to feel better because you're included in that group, that's a choice. It is not one I'll be making.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, like you said, if anybody is having these types of transfers, it's 1, because coordinators, coaches, position coaches got fired, 2, head coaches got fired, or 3, you're a dumpster fire of a program and you need to hit the reset button. Like those are the only 3 options. So which one are you? You haven't fired any coaches. All the coaches are still here, apparently. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else is that. And
I don't know how people cannot get past the point that like any argument you wanted to make 2 weeks ago about running it back included running it back with a lot of these players. You know what I mean? Like the case for Bobby in year 2, the case for Pittman, it was not that you were going to replace your entire roster in the offseason. Nobody went into this offseason saying that's what Arkansas needed to do was clean house and get a completely new team. I don't understand how this is the spin zones that happen here.
I don't know. I did want to bring this up from Evan. I thought it was a good point. He's like, I wonder if competitors are playing that blue light special quote for every offensive lineman. Dude, I would be.
Hey, brother, that's a good call, man. I immediately at the time, one of the first things I was thinking is, well, Lane Kiffin's going to have that clipped for any offensive lineman he wants in the port. Yeah, and any coach out there. And it's not even negative. People call that negative recruiting. It's not. I mean, it was your head coach gone on there, saying something. Context or not, he probably shouldn't have said, and that's just that's an easy text message. If I'm an assistant coach, head coach, whoever, recruiting a kid out of the portal, and I'm like, hey, who are you talking to? Who are you considering? He says Arkansas. I just send him that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then I give him my offer.
Well, how do you think the current offensive line felt about that when you hear your head coach go out there and say, "Oh yeah, they got the Louis Vuitton over there, and we got these bums here"? I'm sure Josh Braun didn't feel great about that.
Also, I like this. I don't care about my username. He just gave us $1. Thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate it. But he also upped it to 2 when he says quarterback competition and see if number 10 has that dog in him. Yeah,
well, I got bad news for you. They just one of the guys that was supposed to compete for the job just left. So I don't think you're getting a quarterback competition in the spring, despite everyone else saying that we wanted it. I don't think it's happening.
And Stripey has also said, appreciate the super chat, man. He says the entire offense is on fire. I'm hearing the thank you, Curtis. Pick up hurt people's feelings. Is there any traction there?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it might have hurt Grayson Wilson's feelings. Yeah. Like the other incoming freshman. I don't know why it would create a big rift with anybody who's currently on the roster. Can anybody give me a reason why that might be the case? I mean, I very well could be overlooking something, but I don't think so. No. Especially after Singleton left, it's like you have room at the end there. So.
Yeah, I think Grayson Wilson's the only one. I'm sure that's who he's referencing. And we talked about that a little bit and played the clip where Grayson admitted that he was told by the coaching staff that they weren't going to bring in another quarterback. So I have no doubt his feelings are hurt. But yeah, anybody on the current roster, like maybe KJ Jackson's offended, but like I don't think he should be. It's it's
part of it.
You're on these guys, like just go beat them out.
Yeah, every place you're going to go, you're going to bring in another quarterback more often than not in a signing class. So you got to get used to that. James says, is this why Bobby P is looking for jobs? He knew this was coming.
Or maybe this is happening because of that. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, I like the word nuance that Andrew threw out there. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but I mean, it's there are a lot of questions worth asking that I don't know that we'll ever get answers to, but
I mean, it's weird because, like, again, you can make this case, but at the same time, none of these moves happened while he was interviewing for the Charlotte job. They happened after he said he withdrew his name from the Charlotte job. And now you could say, hey, were these guys already planning to enter? Who knows? Maybe so. But yeah, on Monday, or I guess it was Tuesday when he announced he was withdrawing it, in that moment, I was like, okay, that helps. Arkansas should be able to keep some of these offensive guys. They'll be able to keep Taylor, and it'll be a great thing. So yeah, I mean, it just didn't play out the way that I think a lot of people thought it would.
And I'm going to be honest too, guys. This ain't over as far, and I know there's going to be more portal additions. This isn't over as far as players getting into the portal. And this is just a gut feeling. I think that there's going to be a coaching change in some capacity, whether it's Petrino moving on or the Mateos moving on, something. Because you just don't see this much crap happening and then players bouncing out, but the coaches are staying on and then everything just goes back to normal. Like there's going to be something more here that's about to pop, whether it's today or 4 days from now or whenever. But I just get that feeling that there's going to be some actual staff changes going to be happening here soon.
Yeah, maybe so. I have no idea if that's the case or what it looks like, but it's also very rare for a I don't know the word to say. Like, I don't want to be insulting and be like a lame duck staff, but like a head coach who's returning after being on the hot seat, very much on the hot seat again, to retain an entire staff going into that year is pretty rare anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Also,
Go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, shout out to Matty Ice. He said, appreciate the content. Whoopik Suey ain't never easy. Appreciate you, Matty.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
It
Go ahead,
definitely,
Andrew.
it definitely ain't easy some of these days. And look, guys, like we are happening. There happens to be a lot of bad news this week, and so we are reacting to the news, and it just happens to be bad. But again, I saw someone in the chat pointed out that on signing day we came and tried to bring y'all good news, and we were told that we were sunshine pumpers. So it is what it is. And look, again, we know they're going to make moves in the portal. I look forward to seeing a lot of those moves, and I will say I also look forward to hearing from Sam Pittman so he can offer some of his perspective on this. And, because I'm sure he'll be asked about a lot of this and he'll have his spin. I look forward to hearing what that spin is. Cause look, I would love to be sold on like why this actually isn't bad and why like things are actually trending in the right direction. I'm sure someone has an argument. I just haven't seen it. I just hear people mad that we're mad.
Yeah. Well, also too, like, don't forget when Carmona returned, like that was good. And when Cam Ball announced he was returning, that was awesome. Xavier Sorey, that was awesome. So
we talked about all those things. Yeah.
And y'all didn't watch any of those videos right now. Y'all didn't watch the Sorey video.
Yeah. Y'all are hate watching is all you're looking for. You're just looking for rage, hate watching. You want to be pissed off.
Yeah. But I get it, man. I understand how this works and like how people kind of view it or whatever. Like we see people saying that we're just using drama for clicks or whatever. Like we're not creating the drama. I didn't put Josh Braun or Patrick Kudus or Isaiah Satania or Luke Has into the transfer portal. I didn't do any of those things. Our job is to talk about it when it happens and react to it. That's what we do. And I mean, and again, when good things happen, we'll react to that as well. But we didn't create that drama. But like if we're getting clicks by discussing it, that's kind of our job.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen here, you bastards. I'm like, I got emotional. I started crying on this dadgum stream after Arkansas beat Tennessee. So you don't tell me about like going for drama clicks and everything. It's, it's just, we go with whatever's happening and we talk about it and respond to it too. I did like it from Hope Heartbroken. I appreciate the super chase. Like, I wonder if anyone's still marveling at Sam Pittman. Maybe in somebody's mind. Porter Hutchinson says, when will we hear from Sam Pittman himself? I wonder. Feels like someone needs to say something.
I think that we're looking at Sunday or Monday for that. It usually happens after National Signing Day. He wasn't feeling up to it after the surgery. I get it. Like with every one of these announcements that's happening with guys hitting the portal, it's like, we sure would like to hear from the head coach. They're going to find out their bowl destination on Sunday. So I'm guessing it'll be after that, or it'll be like the normal Monday at noon kind of thing. Because they're probably not going to do the deal where they trot them out there for a Zoom today and then turn around and do it in 48 hours. Well, we can't even get a preview for a basketball game. So I don't think we're going to get Sam Pittman twice within a couple of days span. So I would imagine it'll be at the end of the weekend or early next week.
Also, Paper Playa wants to know, what about defense? Is anyone leaving?
Dallas Young, the seventh DB is leaving, which
that's the trend there, which is why we're kind of like, what's really going on? Yeah.
Right. Well, look, the Dallas Young entering the portal, those are the ones we expected. We expected the guys who were buried on the depth chart, who weren't playing, who weren't contributing anyway. Yeah, we're not going to lose too much sleep over those. The reason we're upset is because these are starters that we were not expecting to enter the portal, and guys that, frankly, we were sold on. This is who you're supposed to be building around for next year. So yeah, I don't know. But we haven't had anybody notable leave on defense yet, but the week is young.
Also, appreciate this from Stripius as always. Appreciate the super chat. He says, we did have KJ and Rocket and Augustov, et cetera, leave last year, and it felt hopeless until portal season picked up. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Again, Stripius, that was my point. When you went 4-8, though, you needed to blow it up because you went 4-8. It was a massive failure and disappointment. You had to make a change in the offensive coordinator position. All of that. This is different because you went 6-6, an improvement. You had an opportunity to have a lot of these key players come back next year to build upon them, and they're all gone, even though you have the staff at this moment retained. So it's I get what you're saying, but it's a different scenario right now where you're supposed to, if you're keeping all the coaches and you had a better season, you're supposed to build upon those key players and then add to it. But right now, all you're doing is losing them all.
Well,
so
doing this is kind of the exact way to stay exactly what you are, which is kind of mediocre, right? And like the ball could bounce a couple ways throughout the course of the season. You pick up an extra win or two one year, or an extra loss or two another year. But yeah, like the pathway to getting to where people want this program to be is by retaining your good players and adding on top of them moving forward. So,
Also,
you said it very well there, Curtis. I also just would like to add, like last offseason, what solutions did Arkansas really like come up with in the portal? I mean, I would say at linebacker, they actually did. I would say Sorian, Dix, and even Worth and Switzer, who weren't really linebackers, they did a good job of kind of adjusting in the portal. And I would say Jaquinta Jackson was a good portal pickup, but like
absolutely, yeah.
Taylon Green that's y'all hate that guy. Y'all hate all the offensive linemen that they have. The defensive line, they didn't really hit in the portal. The DBs all kind of ended up being bust. So like, I don't know if last year's portal off season is the standard. And I agree 100% with your point, Curtis, where like we thought, hey, you have your roster and you can add onto it with the portal. It's replacing your entire roster every year with the portal is not the move.
Also, this comes from Joseph. He says, do you ever think that some of the players are transferring out because they know a better player is already set to transfer in?
That is a thing that happens. Absolutely. I don't know if that's the case here. Especially guys who are like returning starters who,
well, like if you had an offensive guard, for example, that you knew was coming in that was really good, well, he would be coming to replace Kudus, not Josh Braun. You know what I mean? Like it's if you have a receiver that you know is coming in, if I'm a returner like Isaiah Satania, I know that there is like 90% of my receptions came from Andrew Armstrong, and he's gone. So like they have to bring a guy in. And so in some cases, yeah, like that does happen. I get it. Based on like the moves we've seen so far, I have a hard time believing that's the case. Like, I don't think Luke Haz is leaving because he knows a tight end that's better than him is coming into to Arkansas.
Well, I was just about to say, for everybody that's, pissing and moaning in the comments about how upset we are, do y'all honestly in your hearts think Arkansas is going to go out there and get someone better than Luke Haz? Do you think they're going to get an offensive lineman more accomplished and better than Patrick Kudus? Do you think they're going to get someone more experienced than Josh Braun? Like, there are definitely better offensive linemen in the portal. Like, it's not out of the realm that they could do that. But like, do y'all really think that's about to happen?
Yeah, I don't know why they would, but some maybe do. JT, shout out to JT Hazelwood, super chat, says we're gonna have a roster for the bowl game. It's like dude's gonna be playing both sides of the ball, like Iron Man ball. Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
Might
it's
have
gonna
to.
be it's gonna be fascinating to see just like kind of what they roll out there. And look, the bowl game really doesn't matter to me at all. Like Arkansas could lose the bowl game 100-0, and it wouldn't do anything for me. They could win it 100-0, and it wouldn't do anything for me. But it is just gonna be funny to see who they kind of patch together and throw out there.
Yep. Oh man, this is just wild and crazy stuff. Finally from Hayden, he says, comment section is an exhausting read sometimes, buddy. Don't we know it? Yeah, it is. It gets pretty crazy out there too. So
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I get it. You know, like everybody feels a certain type of way, and if when it's not what you want to hear, then you just automatically kill the messenger. You know,
yeah,
Like if it's people who really, really want Arkansas to be good and be better or whatever, and then if we're on here reacting saying, "Damn, man, they lost another guy. This ain't good," then they're immediately going to react some type of way. And then the opposite is true for the people who are like, "Get Sam the hell out of here. This is ridiculous. This program's never going to get any better under him." And then we say, "Man, flipping this Madden dude at quarterback's a good deal." And they're like, "Shut up. We don't want to hear it." I get it. That's just the natural reaction.
yeah.
If that makes us haters or sunshine pumpers or whatever, that's fine. But
it is just like fascinating.
Man,
we talked about this a little bit. Like it's fascinating because I thought we were kind of all like the fan base was fairly unanimous after the Missouri game that they didn't want Pittman. Like people were kind of out on Pittman, and we agreed with that sentiment, and felt like we were kind of on the same page. And then like these moves, you would think would make those same fans like more upset, but then we were like, yeah, this looks bad, and people are like, no, actually, it's great. It's actually great that Isaiah Satania is gone. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, maybe we're wrong. Who knows? And look, we might be just completely way off base. We'll see what Arkansas does in the portal. They might bring in a top 5 portal class, and then we'll look like idiots. And we will gladly let y'all know in that moment, okay, we were wrong. They brought in a really good portal class. They might be better in 2025. But just as it stands today, I don't really see a path to that.
Yeah. I also like this comment from Kingsley. He says it ain't got to be a 1-1 verse in the portal. He says sometimes an elite tight end could turn into an elite wide receiver or offensive tackle. Maybe. Yeah. And that's what next week is going to be about, is seeing what it is all about and what you're going to be adding in.
I actually do agree with where Kingsley's brain is at here. Because think about it. I don't know what Arkansas was paying Luke has. I have zero idea. I don't have any idea what they were paying Kudus, although I can't imagine it was that much for an offensive guard that was like not super proven at the time. Satania, some of these other guys, you're basically choosing not to up the bag to retain them. So then what are you going to do with that money? We'll see what Arkansas gets to do. I mean, the portal opens on Monday. We'll see what they're able to bring in officially. They should be able to get in the mix and go after some of these top receivers or these D linemen or whoever. And so we'll wait and see. So, I mean, there's something to be said for that line of thinking. Absolutely.
All right, before we wrap up here, I just wanted to, I like this from Jeremy. He says, y'all are doing good. Don't listen to the haters. The issues with Hunter and Pittman, they're just directing anger towards you. Here's the thing is I don't care if you agree or disagree. That's what this is about. You can agree and disagree with me and with us, with anything, just like we can with y'all. And we get interactive with it. We talk about it. I don't give a rip. Just as long as you watch. That's all I care about. So we appreciate everybody chiming in. This was a very unexpected thing here on Inside Arkansas to go live in the chat. I almost took my shirt off. I had almost put it back on because I was getting comfortable.
You just walk around shirtless all the time?
I walk around butt naked, my man. Like there ain't, this shirt was just the first to come off, but good way to end. So there you have it. And we'll keep you guys updated. Subscribe to Inside Arkansas and hit that bell for notifications, because anytime that there's going to be a portal pop, we're going to go live, and especially for the big ones. So do subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Go to social media, follow us on there at Inside Arkansas. Also check out InsideArkansas.com. So for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. We will see you guys whenever the next pop will happen. Who knows, but we'll keep you up to date on everything.